And now it's Thursday. As if it wasn't just Tuesday.
I really need to change clothes once in a while.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
Same.
Like we're in a very tight... Like we actually haven't opened the door since the podcast on Monday. It's like
It's funky in here.
It's like an eternal airplane flight. Where, you know, when you get on and you're all nice and fresh, and you don't notice it happening, but then when you get out of the plane and you get fresh air, and you're like, "Oh my god,
I know,
what's happened to me?"
All this recycled air, and it feels like that. To be honest with you, there is a hair in here. Oh my god. You know what? That's that other week when I dropped it on the floor and had to scoop them all back up. All right. Lucky.
But is there any Skittles in there?
No. Glenn and Ben from the Good Movie Monday podcast. We dive our hands into this thing and pull out movie titles and we talk about them. Go back and listen to Monday's show. It was a good one. We talked about Daddy's Little Girl themed movies. So father-daughter relationship movies. And
A lot of Brazzers films were covered.
Here we go. What did I pull out?
Daughter Swap, anyone?
The Iron Giant.
What a great film.
It is an amazing film.
2D and 3D animation combined.
Yep. It's a sucker punch of a movie. It's got a really, really strong emotional anchor to it. And it's directed by Brad Bird, who had come, from The Simpsons, I think?
I think so, yeah.
Directed on Simpsons. He went on to do a Mission Impossible, I think.
And Pixar movies.
And Pixar movies,
I think he did it. Didn't he do...
Maybe. I don't know.
Up?
Don't know.
That's Brad Bird?
Have a look. There's some homework for everyone, because we can't be bothered. What do you think of it? Yeah, you love The Iron Giant? I do.
I really enjoy it. It's kind of, like, funny enough, because that's 2000s somewhere.
Yeah, around about 2000-ish.
There, and it was a real throwback to 80s kids' movies, like the E.T. types where bad things are allowed to happen and it's not all saccharine and, you know, often those movies show...
We took the bubble wrap off.
Yeah, and they show, like, the corruption of authority.
Yeah.
And how just because you're in a position of authority doesn't mean you're always right.
Yeah.
And it's one of those films, and that's great because, you know, who needs all of these
it's one of those...
pro-authority...
It's one of those animated films that has a very cinematic, epic kind of, you know, feel to it. And it's, I mean, I would go back and watch that at the cinemas if they brought it back.
Yeah, and the animation style is really good. Like, it actually has a really good kind of aesthetic.
Yeah, and there's like a creepiness to it as well. You know, when he comes up over the junkyard, it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool. Go for it. Next one. Highly recommend that one.
I love how I it's always just the one right in the middle at the top that comes out. Far and Away. Oh, I love this film.
Oh, we're talking to Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman.
Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman.
The bowl.
With the bowl and the Irish accents.
I'm pretty sure. Every time, I mean, you know, when there are certain movies...
I've actually put it in like 100 times. I've put just like lots of them just so they come up all the time.
There are certain movies that just the very title takes you to a certain place in the movie, and this one is the bowl scene, and it's the backstory of the bowl scene.
See, that's funny because that's not what I think of when I think I think of the scene where he walks into the bar and he beats the shit out of the guy that Cole Meany has been fighting.
Yeah.
And Cole Meany has that great line with just knocked the piss out of the man that knocked the piss out of me. I don't know how I feel about that. That's a terrible accent.
We all have our own little thing.
But that's the thing. But you're all just obsessed with his penis.
Well, simply because, like, you know, it was a bowl. He was naked. He had a bowl over his dick. And in behind the scenes movie stuff, you put a cloth over your dick,
sock.
right? A little sock over your dick. And Ron Howard went up to Tom Cruise because he was with Nicole Kidman at the time. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman.
I think they were married by that point.
May have been, and second film together. And Ron Howard said to him, "Hey, we want to get an expression of shock off her. Can you take the cloth off and just have her react to your dick?" So that scene where she reacts to his dick is an actual reaction, and I love that kind of shit. Like, you know, I mean, it's not the reaction probably that Ron Howard was expecting. She really got a kick out of it though.
Yeah, she enjoyed it. I wonder how many.
It wasn't shock. It was like it was desire.
But then I always wonder, like that's a great take. But is that the take? Like, do they ever go, okay, let's do it again? And then once the magic's gone, but is that
one you
the
got to
actual
go
one?
like, can you pop a pill? Like, can we get you hard?
How about we cut it off? Then that shock's got to be.
Can you tuck it?
Yeah. Like we've got some black spray paint.
We'll put a splint on it.
Yeah, we've got you this a penis pump that will increase its size guaranteed to add several inches on, and that's the take they used.
Yeah.
She's like,
I think we might have just invented a new podcast.
yeah.
What ifs?
What ifs? No, I was hoping it was going to be something on penis pumps.
Well, we can factor that into every movie.
Yeah.
What if they had a penis pump?
What if, yeah.
High Spirits.
With Steve Gutenberg?
Peter O'Toole. Who else is in that one? Oh, look, this is a movie that when I got this on DVD, I was nostalgic for it. I'm like, I'm getting this because I remember it as a kid.
I remember it at the video store. I never
I
saw
don't
it.
like it. I don't like it. I've watched it many
Yeah.
times trying to like it, and who was this? It was Neil Jordan.
I just
Neil
felt
Jordan?
it was similar to. Do you remember Nothing But Trouble?
Yeah, with Chevy Chase and
And
Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah,
Same.
and I always thought it was that
Demi
kind of. And
Demi Moore.
Demi Moore's in it as well, but and there's that other movie, the Jekyll and Hyde one. But that was actually like a slapstick comedy, which once I actually did watch is actually a lot better.
But what I just
It was
realised
really
that
good.
I've just said is that I go back to this often trying to like it because I'm nostalgic for it. And the other film I go back trying to like is that In Dreams, and same director.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I think it's the same director. Fact checkers. But yeah, High Spirits. I remember loving the VHS art.
Mhm.
I loved because it came around the same time as Haunted Honeymoon, and I loved Haunted Honeymoon and still do.
Yeah, and it's also Transylvania 6500
That too.
and that kind of.
And I kind of
those
in my
light
mind,
horror,
in my
Monster
mind,
Squad.
I think I was confusing it for something else I'd seen, and it just
Yeah.
doesn't. It's not a good movie.
And who would have thought that Steve Gutenberg could make a bad movie at that period of time?
That's correct. What was the one I watched the other week when he had the mullet?
Oh,
The motorbike and the mullet?
Yeah, with the motorbike.
Yeah, forgotten the name
It's
of it.
like My Father the Hero, but it's not My Father the
Yeah,
Hero.
yeah.
And it's got multiple names.
Mm.
It actually has
does.
different
Yeah,
names.
well, whatever that is, I mean, I still enjoy it, but it's not very good.
Yeah, because
Because he starts
isn't
off
he
fat.
dying?
He starts off fat with cancer,
Yeah, that's right.
and
yeah,
he's got a fat suit on and he's bald. He plays that quite well, to be honest with you. I was surprised
Yeah.
at that, but then he turns into this like biker kind of
like a stud.
and
Is it Shelley Long that he?
Shelley Long is the sister. Yeah,
Right.
anyway,
Okay.
that's
So
the-
I thought he was the love interest.
No,
but,
the love interest is someone else. I can't remember who it is, but anyway, we're not talking about
Maria
that.
Conchita Alonso. She was a love interest in a lot of movies at that
But
point.
they
in
were
time.
trying to recreate the John Hughes vibe, and it just didn't work.
Without John Hughes.
What do we got?
Wishmaster.
Ooh, okay, Wishmaster. That's an interesting one. So when I think of Wishmaster, where my mind goes to with that one is New York Times Square. When I was there as a teenager, and a bus went by with Wishmaster
With Wishmaster.
on the side, and that was my first realization of what Wishmaster was. I was like, oh, "What is that?" It says Wes Craven. This is what? I had no idea. There's a new Wes Craven movie coming out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Turns out it wasn't really a Wes Craven movie. He didn't direct it.
He just
produced it. I like it.
Did he actually produce it, or did he like executive
I think
produce
he
it?
just
or,
gave
like,
his name to it. I don't
Yeah.
think he had much to do with it.
They
But
paid him.
It was written by.
They paid him to look at the script and go.
It was
"Yeah, that's
written
all right."
by Peter Atkins. There you go. Who wrote Hellraiser 3 and
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser 2. And I spoke to him on the show recently, and he does talk about Wishmaster. I like it. I think 1 and 2 are good. 1 is good. Number 2 is decent. Number 3 and 4 are trash. Absolute garbage trash.
Like all of those.
But number 2 and 3 have Jason Connery.
Yeah, right. Spymaker.
Yeah, oh, how good is Spymaker?
The real story of
Was it
Ian
The Secret
Fleming.
Life of Ian Fleming?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to watch that with License to Kill. No, what was the Richard Grieco one? If Looks Could Kill.
If looks could kill.
That and Spymaker, they were on the same trailer run.
I remember Spymaker was. I don't know if it was. It wasn't public domain, but whoever had the rights to it
Fucked it.
did. Like it was on Channel 31 all the time.
Oh, right. So, yeah.
Like that's how every time I would flick on to Channel 31, just during the day.
Well, great. That's good
And you're like,
programming.
oh, Spymaker's on.
Yeah.
Spymaker's on again.
That trailer was on the front of everything back
Yeah.
in the 90s or 80s, I should say. Jesus,
Yeah, really
Yeah.
trying to make
dredging out the.
Jason Connery into a star.
Yeah, they would. I mean, and the whole Connery Fleming kind of, you know.
Which I mean, look, they should have just spent all their time on Puss in Boots because that with Christopher Walken and Jason Connery, that is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Have we done one each? We don't know. We've done two
We've
each.
done two each.
All right, let's make this the last one. Another one.
Yeah, what was it?
Oh, we'll talk about that after. We don't want to. All right. Picnic at Hanging Rock. Would you like to talk about that, or would you like to talk about that?
Let's talk about
Picnic at Hanging Rock. Okay, so great movie. Did we mention this on the mic last week, or was it in private conversation. We were talking about director's cuts, and I said the Picnic at Hanging Rock director's cut is a bloody doozy because they take stuff out of it for the director's cut.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and
I can't imagine what the ambiguity.
Just a few flutes.
Yeah, right. It took John Jarrett out of it, so it was actually quite good.
One of those movies, though, that people always thought was a true story.
Yeah,
it feels like.
I thought it was a true story.
It feels like
one.
Or
based on a true story.
And it's not. It's a completely fictional book. I think the book had the same issue where a lot of people thought the book was based on a true story.
And the funny thing is, though, is that everyone makes it out to be a lot more sinister than it actually is when you watch it. You're like, it's the girls just disappear. Like it's.
But it's sinister in that I think maybe it's relying on the fact that if you live in Victoria, Australia, you've probably been to Hanging Rock and you know that you can't get lost there. Right?
Yeah.
And so the fact that these girls got lost, it has to be sinister, right? Because how do you get lost in this place? I kind of think it's sinister when I watch it. Just
like, but they
haunting,
they use movie tricks to make it appear sinister.
Well,
and stuff.
The soundtrack,
like
the
all that sort of stuff,
and all the not a manhunt. What do you call it? The
search party. Search party. Yeah. I mean, but it's such an affectation when you just like. They just wander off.
Yeah,
like there's nothing actually happens.
No, but I guess maybe
to make you think something's happened.
Although
to them.
maybe it's the fact that so many girls just disappeared.
Yeah,
like how did that many girls? One, I think, is it one that comes back?
That comes back, yeah. That did or didn't disappear.
Comatose, whatever. She can't talk about it. Yeah, and so that makes it sinister. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think.
Did you watch the TV?
I can't bring myself to do that. Same with the Wake in Fright TV show. I can't. I love those originals so much that I don't believe you could improve upon them.
Yeah.
I think they hold up well. They haven't dated poorly. I mean, Picnic at Hanging Rock is a period piece.
It's a period piece, so it was already dated when it came out.
That's right, exactly. And Wake in Fright, I think, captures that era perfectly.
Look, Wake in Fright. I have to say, I have not seen the Wake in Fright reboot thing.
Yeah, I lumped with the same.
But I just don't see how you can do it because that Australia doesn't exist anymore.
Was it a period piece? Did they set it back in the 70s? I don't know. I didn't watch it.
I think so.
You can't contemporary.
Oh no, sorry. Oh, the remake. Yeah. Because and look, every now and then you kind of do get reminded that Australia existed.
Yeah.
Like I remember, going to the supermarket and people in stubby shorts and thongs and no shirt, and that was every second person in the supermarket was like that, and that's all there was.
Totally.
It was just a supermarket.
Yeah, ashtrays in the back seat of the car.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
And the whole thing, and people just, it was like puberty blues. Everyone talked like that.
Yeah, it was a thing.
And I guess it was, to a degree. I find it fascinating that before the proliferation of television and international programming, that how we actually had a stronger accent and
we had a culture.
Yeah, dialect and the whole. Yeah, that's right. Like it was actually one that naturally came up from
because you could
interacting with other people from here rather than
you could say like what is the Australian culture right now? We're so multicultural, you can't really say that, right? And that generation is elderly or gone. And
but I was going to say, but it's not even that the fact that it's multicultural. It's that all of for the most part, the learning part of our interaction comes from TV.
Yeah,
where it's all incredibly homogenized. Where I remember this story about these scholars from Italy coming over to study these Italians who came over during the kind of gold rush.
Yeah,
and they all kind of camped in this. It's a town somewhere in between here and Adelaide. Where that dialect of that Italian language does not exist in Italy anymore. Like it's completely died out thanks to.
Is that? I wonder if that's like the movie Love's Brother, where they've got an Aussie Italian sort of accent. Yeah.
And but I know. Well, this is actually like an Italian dialect that doesn't exist in Italy anymore.
Gotcha.
And it happens all the time because even that in Italy there was a big difference between north and south, and there were definite kind of. The northern people didn't like the southern people, and the southern people didn't like the northern people.
Yep.
And they almost didn't speak the same language. It's like, my father is from Austria.
Mm-hmm.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is from Austria. Their accents are completely different. Like an Arnie's from one end of the country, and my father's from the other end.
Yeah.
They do not in any way sound Like, not even close. Like,
Yeah.
you would have no idea that they're from the same country. Now that doesn't exist because television, they have the kind of RP accent.
Yeah, yeah.
That means that, kids, that's what they pick up and that's how they talk.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
And so, picnic and hanging rock.